Attaboy, Soups, get those guys! Uh-oh, how will we get out of this one? Huh. Well, I didn't expect him to do that. Ah, the Silver Age of comics, when anything goes. What's the Silver Age, you ask? Okay, boys and girls, it's story time! Way back in 1938, National Comics, later called DC, published Action Comics #1 featuring Superman. It was a slap-bang and gee-whiz success, and lots of other costume heroes followed. Lots of people bought comics, and DC was happy. But by 1954, all but 3 regular titles were cancelled because of poor sales, and DC was sad. But in 1956, they tried something new. A number of old heroes were brought back with new names, powers, and spiffy new outfits. They were a big success. A lot of people bought comics again, and DC was happy again. Hooray! Note to self: no more sugar for backstory guy. Be that as it may, the writers eventually faced a problem: keeping the storylines with the new heroes fresh. Most of the time they managed to keep these consistent, but there were occasions when the stories just got plain weird. Sole survivor of the doomed planet Krypton, Superman gains mighty powers under Earth's yellow sun. His prime weakness? Chunks of kryptonite, fragments of his lost home planet. Giant ants attack, breaking into factories and mines, stealing only certain things. Superman is helpless to battle them as the ants give off green kryptonite radiation. So he decides to give himself an ant-like head. He gains one temporarily by exposing himself to a special kind of red kryptonite. Using an antenna he gains, he communicates with the ants and finds they are peaceful aliens seeking to repair their kryptonite-powered ship. Isn't that always the way? Red kryptonite was a common MacGuffin for the Silver Age. Since Superman was so powerful, it became easier just to have weird stuff happen to him with it. One of the reasons for the post-crisis reboot was, as one writer put it, how do you write conflict for a guy that can probably end the universe by blinking really hard? Test pilot Hal Jordan was granted a powerful green ring by the Guardians of the Universe. Driven by his will, it could do almost anything. Its only weakness? The cover yellow. Thus armed, Hal Jordan becomes Green Lantern. Tracking several crooks to a cabin in the woods, Hal finds that the inside is flooded with a deadly radiation, the crooks protected by special amulets. Unable to use his ring because of a yellow base to the radiation, Jordan decides to turn himself into a robot so the radiation won't hurt him. Yes, you heard me right. Hal Jordan uses his ring to change his body into an android to take on the crooks by hand. Right. So that's it, huh? Of all the things he could have done with the ring, he decides to turn himself into a robot. Well, no one ever said that test pilots were short on imagination. Crack reporter for the Daily Planet, Lois Lane in the Silver Age was defined by 2 traits: being recklessly determined to do anything for a story, and being romantically obsessed with Superman. Sneaking onto an experimental spaceship, Lois accidentally launches it. Rescued by Superman, as usual, the Man of Steel decides to teach her a lesson. Himself, Perry White, and even Robin use special makeup to pretend they're actually 50 years older, with Lois supposedly having gone on the trip and returned after all that time. Naturally enough, this causes her severe trauma, and they decide that they'll teach her a lesson by revealing the truth the next morning. However, they are much surprised when the fictional Superman Jr. actually shows up. It turns out Lois had figured out the ruse, noticing that the fuel tank on her ship still read full. She blackmailed Robin, using a fingerprint chart she just happens to carry with her, into posing as Superman Jr., gaining special powers by using the plot-convenient superpower potion Batman keeps in the Batcave. She gets Superman to donate the house to an old folks' home and gets a scoop on the story for it. The Lois Lane comics back in the Silver Age were incredibly sexist. I mean, look at this. The best they can do for a strong, capable woman is to have her act as an obsessive, manipulative bitch. Real progressive, guys. Scientist Ray Palmer finds a meteorite of dwarf star matter and fashions it into a suit. This enables him to shrink in size and alter his mass and weight as the mighty atom. A scientist, who looks surprisingly like Boris Karloff, discovers that when the atom is asleep, he gives off a strange radiation which the man can use to see 8 minutes into the future. He therefore decides to kidnap the atom and increase his surface area by ironing him flat as a piece of paper. So this guy has a device which makes it possible for him to literally painlessly change a person's mass and shape, and he uses it for carnival tricks. Naturally enough, the atom does manage to escape, even though he is fine as a piece of paper, and return to normal. Man, that's a weird story idea. Well, that's very, unique. Myron? I've got nothing. So your hero can shrink, and you're reduced to this? Wow, that makes some of Superman's stories seem normal. Ah, Jimmy. Practically the poster boy for the Silver Age. No other character had bizarre things happen to him on a regular basis. Best friend to Superman, he often got into lots and lots of trouble. Jimmy helps nutty Professor Potter with a machine for reading an animal's mind. Calling Superman to help with his ultrasonic watch, Jimmy was entrusted with it for emergencies, but often used it frivolously. Suddenly his mind is switched with the gorillas. Naturally enough, he can also talk as a gorilla, because, science? You or I might panic, but not Jimmy. As the butt monkey of the cosmos, this is just another day for him. He goes about his daily life, even working at the planet as a trained gorilla. Eventually, Superman figures out that the signal watch caused the machine to malfunction and switches it back again. Jimmy's concerned? The gorilla strained his muscles. Poor Jimmy. This wasn't even the strangest thing to happen to him either. From turning into a turtle boy, to an elastic body, to becoming a giant. All in a day's work for him. Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, the Martian Manhunter, The Flash, and others. Some of Earth's mightiest heroes banded together to battle evil as the Justice League of America. Several of the Leaguers are bothered by bouts of sudden bad luck. The man behind this is Dr. Amos Fortune, who has devoted himself to discovering how luck works and has come up with an amazing device called a Stimuluck. This device works by giving small electrical charges to the good or bad luck glands in the human brain. Therefore, he is really able to control luck by the push of a button. Determined that the Leaguers will not interfere with his evil plans, he captures them, straps them to a giant spinning wheel, and spins it so that they will gain small electrical charges which will gradually overload and destroy their good luck glands. He's defeated by the Martian Manhunter, who, being an alien, doesn't have them. Their luck glands? As a scientist, I can tell you, humans don't have those. You might as well be leaving milk out for fairies, because it worked just as well. This guy gives evil science a bad name. Whew, that was really something, wasn't it? But you know, as crazy as things can get, they proved one thing. The Silver Age sure was fun. I'm some Canadian guy, and if you'll excuse me, I've got some back issues to read.